We are talking now about fixed firm pose. Yeah, am I right?
Yep.
Am I on track? Okay. Supta Vidrasana, yes, fixed firm. And this posture is really one of the postures where it shows that connection between the knees and
Hips.
hips, definitely. Right? This is why for a lot of people with knee issues, there's a big difference between people with knee stuff usually are okay with half tortoise pose. This one. It can give a little bit of a funny feeling, but most people are okay. Fixed firm, very different situation, right? So that, and it looks from the outside, it might look quite similar, but this is exactly the things that we've talked about before and what makes, how it works for the knee. In half tortoise, we have that straight angle, right? It creates a lot of pressure on the knee, but we're in that straight angle, and our hips are not required as much to open up. Now here we bring that extra angle in that feels a little unnatural to the knees, and the only way we can make that happen is if our hips are, have the flexibility to make this movement. So direct relationship. So if our hips are not open, it will immediately transfer to the knees. So this is one of the postures that if somebody has told you that they have knee issues, sorry, nobody's sitting there. If you have knee issues, if somebody told you that, this is a posture where you immediately might have to, step in, give them some pointers on how to move in and out of the pose. So this is a posture where oftentimes you might feel maybe a little conflicted in how to approach it teaching-wise. You'll have people in all the different steps of the pose, and you could approach it like, I'll first really want to address all that knee stuff and make sure that that's safe, and then maybe tell people, to go back. But people who are able to go back, you might then feel that they're not listening to you anymore and they go back anyways. So you can also approach it maybe the other way, like quickly gonna mention the whole thing, give people permission kind of to go back, give those instructions, and then let people then come back to the people with knee stuff and really give them the extra pointers that they need.
I have teachers that'll say, if you know where you're going, go.
Right.
You know what you're doing, go for it. And then they focus on the people that are slowly working.
Did you guys hear that?
Yes.
Yeah, so that might be it. And this might change a little bit also on, who you have in class. If you have a lot of newer people, a lot of older people, or, the majority of the people need some more time, then you might switch that around. But if you have a group full of,
Right.
People who know what they're doing and they're fun, then you might take that approach, like, hey, everybody just go for it. And then you can individually focus on the people who need more space, because it is a posture that if you do have knee issues, it's not very likely that you're going to go ahead, follow the instructions, and go beyond your limits, right? In some other postures, we have maybe that chance, like if you don't say stop, stay here, like standing head to knee, we talked about that a lot of people might move ahead even though you said, like, if your leg is straight or things like that, if your leg is wobbly, then come back, and then people just go through the steps faster than maybe your intention for them would be. But in this posture, because it's knees, and if you have knee stuff, you will feel it right away. You actually see more that people will just not do the posture. They will just sit, they look around and they see people, you look around and you see people doing, right? Like, oh, they're doing that. Oh, no. You might more see that people with knee stuff are just gonna go like this, and that they're trying to go beyond what their limitations is. And then it's actually going to be your job to have them do something instead of just like no. Yeah.
So what could they do if right from the word go, because I used to be able to do it no problem, but now even right from the word go, just separating my legs and sitting down and that angle of my knees is just no go. So what would
Right.
you suggest to people that want to do
Yeah.
something in that position?
Yes. So I'll take you through all the steps. The first thing that I want to mention, some studios or some teachers will, if there are blocks available, they might give you a block. And you can potentially see that having a block under your hips might give much less pressure on the knee than without the block, right? Why would that be?
Because it raises the hips above the knees.
It raises the hip above the knees, and because so that big hip opening that is required to make this work for the knees is where's everybody going? The big opening that's required for the from the hips. You take that away, so it feels much safer. You don't have to like figure out where is it that my hips can go. So some teachers and a lot of other class types, that's a very common thing, to just give a block to sit on. Now it's actually not very common to see that in the standard Bikram class or the 26 and 2. Why not? What do you think is the one is? So in the beginning it might feel more safe, it might feel like I'm not like jeopardizing my knees. Why would that not be something you see very commonly done in this particular class? What is maybe the thoughts about not giving somebody a block?
Because it's almost a crutch. I mean, if they're actually doing it a little bit, I mean, my steps are incremental, but I can sit upright now rather than lean forward. So they're not getting anywhere. It's not helping them into the posture.
Right, especially which part of what we just discussed is so important that improves in order to make this happen?
The hips.
The hips, right? We need the hips to open up in order to make this safe for the knees. And as long as you're sitting on a block, you don't giving that space for your hips to gradually get to that improvement. So that would be a reason to think, no, let's not do maybe the block. So again, it's something that I over time have changed a little bit in how I approach that. One is, so I used to be like, absolutely no block whatsoever. You're not going to get any improvement, right? Like you're not going anywhere. But if I see that there's a lot, if you have had a knee injury, if you've had a knee surgery, or you're actually really like, it's not just like, a little bit of a nagging feeling, then you're going to be, there's going to be a lot of fear involved or surrounded by this posture. And I've seen people, I often feel the first step that needs to happen is that taking away of the fear in relationship to this pose. So from that perspective, I actually have told some people, if I really see like, no, I'm not doing anything. No, thank you very much. Absolutely no. And like, okay, well, let's try it with the block for now, see, so that you can see that you can start sitting like this. And then, in a month or so, I'm going to show you the next steps. And that's, if that is like a mental shift that can happen that way, it can be beneficial. From a pure physical perspective, your hips are not going to go more open because you're sitting up the block, but your mind has to maybe open first, before you can physically get there. So I've changed a little bit on how I've approached that whole block situation. But I think what's very important with any modification or any adding any props, if you want people to improve on that front, is to, in your wording, make sure that is that you address the temporary nature of it, right? So when I give somebody a block, I'm often saying, for this class or just for today, let's try this, so that I have already built in that next time I see them, I can say something different, right? But if you just like, okay, here, do it on the block, then you will then until till eternity, they will just immediately grab the block and think that that's my posture, and that's it. Right, so subtleties in your words, I think, can change how we view that, how we approach that.